fall off there. Oh, hey, gosh, I hope she's okay.
Yeah, she was not okay. Welcome in. It's the Daily Puck Drop here on Friday, April 25th. We welcome you in. Kiddos, how is everybody? We got a great show for you today on a Friday. The go-to guy is here. We'll get to him momentarily. We've got Chris Egan from King 5 coming up in around 25 minutes. We'll talk a lot about Grey Zabel. They finally did it. They finally just did what everybody wanted. So we'll talk a lot about Grey Zabel. Seahawks Day 2, as I mentioned. We'll get to Chris Egan. We got some great videos from the draft last night. The scout is back. Our anonymous baseball scout, we'll get to him around 11 o'clock or so. But, of course, the Daily Puck Drop, we are broadcasting live from the Limbach Lumber Studios. Contractors, they got free deliveries, everything from whole house packages to homeowner DIY projects, the largest stock moldings in the Northwest. Old school service because they've been doing it since 1930. Give Limbach Lumber a call, 206-782-3487. Visit them online at limbachlumber.com. And we appreciate you watching all the platforms. If you're watching it live, thank you on YouTube, also on Twitter. You can always listen to the show as well on the Puck Sports mobile app. Download it from the iOS store and the Google Play store. And if you're going back and watching things later, we're always up on YouTube. When you're there, please hit the subscribe button, the like button there. Leave a comment. Try to get to as many as we possibly can. And, of course, you can find the Daily Puck Drop on your favorite podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcasts. And, of course, everything. One-stop shop up at pucksports.com. And, by the way, when you're up there at pucksports.com, why don't you be a member of the old Pucks Posse? Pucks Posse gets you all the free content we do here, plus all of the bonus material, like the brand new podcast, The Sports Pit, with Steve Sandmeyer, Matt Stretch Johnson. New episodes coming out on Monday. Our MLB Insider podcast every single week with the great Ryan Divish. This week he was joined by Tim Booth from Boston, and we're trying to buy a theater seat from Divish as he's moonlighting. Also, not only is the Havre North Stars baseball coach, but also Valley Furniture Salesman of the Year. And Dane Brugler from The Athletic leading up to the NFL draft, his NFL draft series. All there up for Pucks Posse members. Just go to pucksports.com to sign up there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, he is from Bend, Oregon. Parts unknown. He's with us Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. He's brought to you by. You look like somebody. You look like the guy on the Dr. Seuss book right now.
Oh, good. That's what I was trying to do.
Is that what you're going for?
Hey, do I look like Pete Carroll at all to you?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Zero.
Because I've had two people in the last 2 weeks think I look like Pete Carroll, and I'm not sure if I should be offended or flattered. Yeah, I would be. He's older than me, and he's got a jacked up nose. But I mean, flattered because I think Pete Carroll's a generally good-looking guy, right? He's got the white hair, flowing locks.
Yeah, I would be flattered, I think, if someone said that you look like Pete Carroll. The man's in great shape. I'm not getting Pete Carroll vibes, but I'm getting Dr. Seuss vibes here from you. But,
Dr. Seuss vibes. Okay, well, yeah. Dr. Seuss, you know who he's brought to you by today? A Clean Streak.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Window and exterior cleaning service. You like that little segue, seamless transition.
Wonderful.
Like always, I'm a professional broadcaster. Brian Turner and his capable crew, they're proudly serving Island and Skagit counties for more than 10 years. They're going to clean your roof. They'll unclog your gutters. They'll pressure wash your driveway or patio, and they'll even wash your windows too. Okay, and get this, between now and the end of May, I'm going to personally give you $50 when you hire a Clean Streak to do a job for you. Just mention Puck Sports, the podcast that you're listening to or watching right now, when you call, and I'll give you $50. For a free estimate, call 360-395-5748 or visit acleanstreak.com. Hey, who's that? What do you mean I look like a semi-retired drunk? Who the hell was that?
That's from Corey.
Again. Oh, there it is. Corey.
Yeah. Corey says in the YouTube chat.
Gambling problem.
Yeah. Well.
Okay, I'll give you, hey, Corey, you know what? You're 1 for 2, man. I'll give you a semi-retired drunk. If you could say I have a gambling problem when I just won $9,000, then okay, that's all right. But
have you got the money yet?
2 in that assessment. What?
Have you got the money yet?
I've gotten, let's see, Vic Orlando, big voice guy at KJR. He sent me the $800. I got the money from DraftKings. I've gotten, let's see, $5,000, I think, of the $7,500 I won in the $50 Masters.
When's the rest coming?
Well, I think it kind of comes in incremental portions because Venmo has limits on how much you can Venmo people.
How much have we heard back from Palouse Ridge yet?
We have not.
Ooh, that's good news.
And so now I'm crossing my fingers. This might be a good omen, Like I thought about calling him and saying, "Hey, Jeremy, what's up?" And then Kathy's like, "No, don't call. If he doesn't call you, you've already checked in. You've said you're going to be accountable and responsible for flipping the golf cart." And so as the days go on now, I must admit that I'm kind of hopeful that I might not have to pay.
What are the odds? What are the odds that Jeremy's forgotten?
0, probably. Yeah, 0. But what were the odds that the Mariners would be scoring runs like they are? I would have said 0 before they went on the road trip. So anything is possible.
They're playing great baseball. Yeah, that's who you are. You're the Coug in the hat. That's what you are.
Coug in the hat. Okay.
That's what you look like. Yeah. That's wonderful.
All right. Do you ever get the feeling that, I don't stand in front of the mirror before I do the podcast, really? I don't know. You want it without the hat? Does that look better?
Look at me. Look at my hair. My hair's all over the place.
Where's Corey? I want to hear from you again, Corey. You wise ass. Call me a semi-retired drunk. I'm a fully retired drunk.
What's this guy making fun of my hair? What's my hair look bad?
Yeah, your hair looks like shit, man.
Does it really?
Looks like you don't care.
I don't think.
Do you care about your appearance ever?
I think that's kind of the look, is it not? It's kind of the look. The hair's the look. Yeah, I mean that's combed up. That's just how it comes out.
You know how I feel about guys in front of the mirror, right? If you take more than 30 seconds in front of the mirror, you're not doing it right. You're doing it all wrong.
I think you take as long as you'd like.
Oh, no, you don't.
It's to each
their own. He takes 5 minutes in front of the mirror.
Yeah. Someone did ask, have you checked in yet if Grey Zabel has a dog?
Have I checked in on what? Oh, Grey Zabel? No, I haven't, but I imagine he's got many dogs. He probably has chickens. He's got roosters, got cows. He's
bought farmland in South Dakota. He's already bought what did I read? Was it 20 acres or 200 acres? I don't know. He's already planted corn. He's already got a farm. I mean, this is the perfect corn. This is the perfect. I don't know. What do they say about corn?
Got to be knee high by the 4th of July.
Got to be knee high by the 4th of July. All right.
You've never heard that one?
I have not heard that. No, I have not.
That's a thing. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm in.
Yeah.
Well, they got
corn. That's great. And the guy's an honorary Coug, is he not? Grey Zabel with the Busch Lights reference.
I was never a Busch Light guy, so I don't know.
Well, I've never been a Busch Light guy either, but when I'm on campus, I see the kids drinking a lot of that.
Yeah. You're back from Pullman. Good birthday celebration with the boys?
It was terrific, man. We surprised them. We went out to that, they got that golf center out Airport Road.
Yeah, how is that? I've driven by it many times, but I've never gone to it.
Well, they've got a little par 3 course, and they've got a driving range.
And a putt-putt.
A putt-putt course.
Yeah.
And now they have golf simulators, and that's what the boys were doing. Wednesday night when they were celebrating their 21st birthday.
Hey.
I took a few shots myself there into the screen. You can play all the different courses, and it's a great idea to have there in Pullman because, let's face it, you're not going to be out playing golf, 12 months a year, maybe 6 months a year if you're lucky. So, and one of my kids, Mikey, of course, ripped me for having an old head swing. Well, shit, I told him, I'm an old head, okay? I'm going to be 68 in June, so screw you, Mike.
I don't understand. An old head swing? What is that? Just an old person
I'm an old head, and so I swung like an old man.
Well, who said that?
Mikey.
Well, tell Mikey when he's 67? Are you 67?
Yeah, I'll be 68 in June.
68, okay. Well, a preemptive happy birthday. You tell Mikey, hey, when you're 68, I want to see your swing.
I have told him that.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll be deader than a doornail by then, but I just want him to remember when he's 68, I want to see what his swing looks like.
That's right. Yeah.
But right now, I'd give anything to have Mikey's swing.
Yeah. Well, but
Stevie's, man. They're just, the kids are so flexible and athletic, and you put the two together, and shit, they hit it a mile. I hit a good drive into the screen. I thought it was a good drive for me, and I'm thinking, that'll be 240, 250. It was like 215. So, but no, we had a great time.
Where'd you go for dinner?
For dinner, I was going to go to a place called Tapped. I was going to take them because you're halfway, if you're out Airport Road. I was going to go to Tapped over in Moscow. We had a great breakfast yesterday at Jack's. Have you ever been to that? It looks like a little railroad car in Moscow. Yeah. But no, we went to Cella's.
There you go. You can't have a better birthday meal than Cella's.
Yeah, I just picked up to-go pizzas. Got 4 pizzas. If you get 4 large pizzas at Cella's,
you don't get pizzas there, but okay.
Okay, come on. Let me tell you something.
You don't get pizzas there. I mean, I love the pizzas. The pizzas are great, but at least could one of you not got a calzone, which they're known for?
Okay, I know they're known for calzones, and I know they're known for going in there and drawing with crayons and putting them up on the wall. I know all of that.
Oh, you don't like it?
I agree with you to a point with calzones because the calzones are terrific. But if you had a pizza at Cella's,
yeah, it's great.
They're better. Okay, they're better than any place in Seattle. Okay, and I say that because you and I are guys who we like quality. I know that we like quality in our food, but we also really favor quantity.
Why didn't you though? But why not stay there and let the boys drop a 21st birthday, a little, a picture with the crayons and put up on the wall?
I don't know. They just wanted me to, hey, Dad, can you just get some pizzas and bring them back to the apartment?
All right. But then, but see, here's the thing.
It was their 21st birthday. It wasn't what I wanted to do.
I know, but it's some of the fun of going to Cella's too is getting that what is it? The scammer, the 32 ounce, the thing that's in the 32 ounce mason jar beer.
Well, we had
that's part of the fun.
Jars. We did the Old Crimson. They've got Old Crimson on tap there.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
So I did my part for the Coug Collective, where we can offer someone $50,000 and hope that we can.
hey, listen.
I'm not. Well, I guess I kind of am making fun of it, but I appreciate what the Cougar Collective is doing, and they're doing their damnedest. It's just like, look at Texas Tech. I heard they paid LaVon Watts $1.75 million or something.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, Jesus. We can't compete with that.
Hey, but listen, our collective was one of the first ones to ever publicly offer a collective deal, which was $50,000, a truck, and an apartment to the #1 overall pick in the NFL draft. Just amazing. What do you think
Cam Ward would say to that now?
Oh, yeah, I think he would laugh. I think he would. Yeah, it's an incredible ride. It's an incredible story, really, for Cam Ward. I mean, they detailed it great last night. We had a baseball game. Limbeck Lumber had a baseball game. Tough loss last night, 5-4. God, son of a bitch. But then I got home and watched the rest of the draft, and it's just surreal to watch him get selected #1, to see his parents there. We've met his parents. I've met several times, and just detailing his story and listen, I mean, I think it's pretty evident how I feel about him as a player, but as a person, I've never had anything bad to say about Cam Ward. I think his story is incredible and should be inspiring for anyone. This guy was a 0-star recruit. He was a nobody coming out of high school. He ran a wing T offense. That's why he didn't get recruited by anybody. And he goes to Incarnate Word, puts up just crazy numbers, comes to Wazoo 2 years and put up, very good numbers, and then goes on to Miami and now becomes the #1 overall pick. It's like a movie.
Okay, when are you going to throw in your butt?
I'm not going to throw in a butt. I'm not going to do it.
Well, you sure did with Sorensen last night.
Oh, because Sorensen wants to pat his fat ass on the back. Like somehow he had something something to do with him being selected #1.
Yeah. So Paul Sorensen, former All-American safety at Washington State University, go Cougs. Yeah, we have a little text exchange, and so he wanted to point out that Cam Ward, we basically were happy about Mateer, and we didn't care about Ward leaving, you and I, and so he had to kind of like rub it in a little bit, like. And John, okay, we got to wait to see where John Mateer is drafted next year because he might be #1.
I mean, my guess would be no on that.
I don't think there was. The thing is that most Cougar fans are probably like you and me. Well, you and I were more down on Ward, you especially. Like, you thought Cam Ward was trash at times.
Because
right?
at times he was.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
He was.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not saying something that wasn't. At times he was trash.
Was there any point last season where you saw Ward at Miami and Mateer and Pullman, you thought, yeah, God, I wish Cam was back? I never thought that. Never one single time.
I mean, he was around better players, and I think anytime you get around better players, I mean, obviously you're going to be elevated. So he had a better offensive line, he had a better running back, he had better wide receivers, and he improved himself as a passer. He improved himself, there as a quarterback. But there's not one Cougar fan, not one, who watched him play for 2 years that could say when you watched him play for 2 years that you would ever think he was the number one overall pick. Not one. Not one fan.
No, I would have thought maybe a 3rd round choice, 4th round choice, something like that.
He was projected, I believe his grade last year was 5th, maybe 6th round. I mean, the part of the reason he's a 1st round pick, part of the reason he's number one overall is because of the bad quarterback class.
Oh, God, part of the reason.
That's a huge.
Last year, what would he have been? The 5th or 6th guy off the board?
Yeah, but I you know what? It takes away from what I still think is a good story. I just watched him get selected number one and just I don't know. It's surreal that he played quarterback there for 2 years, goes to Miami. Good, honestly, good for him. I really just good for him, and it's odd.
Did we try and sell that?
Yeah, I don't know how much credit they should take. I mean, they splashed it across social media a little bit. I mean, I don't know.
Come to Washington State and play for us for a little while, and then
go to a bigger and better school,
5-star, and then you can take $1 million and go somewhere else and play.
Yeah, well, you know what? Maybe that they should advertise that. They certainly should. But hey, the Seahawks. I'm sitting there during I don't know what inning it's in, and we're like in the 2nd or 3rd inning. Last night of the baseball game, and somebody they took him. They took the offensive lineman. I'm like, thank God. Thank God they finally just did the right, smart, obvious move and took the offensive lineman. God, thank God. And you know what? Here's the thing. He may be a bust. He may not be good. And we'll be looking back a few years from now going, well, that was a terrible pick. But I don't think there's anyone that thinks that will be the case. I think all the stuff that you read up on him and you look at him and you hear people talk about him, that this has got a chance to be like a real home run pick, like just really, really nail it. So I'm excited for it. I'm excited that they got him. It's the guy that I think everybody in this fan base, most people wanted them to get. The fact that he plays all 5 positions. He played center in high school. He can do it all. Whether he ends up at guard or playing center, it really at this point doesn't matter. I think you start looking at the stuff behind the scenes, all the qualities of him, the fact that he went to the Senior Bowl, the fact that he did every drill. He did more drills than they ever asked for. He was the Senior Bowl player of the week, offensive lineman of the week. Most of those players leave after that. He said, no, I'm going to stay. I'm going to participate in the game. The fact that his senior year, he was offered huge 6-figure NIL deals to leave North Dakota State. He said, nope, I'm staying put. I mean, that just tells you, in my opinion, a lot about someone's character. He turned down probably some life-changing money to remain at the school that gave him an opportunity coming out of high school. I think there's a lot to like about Grey Zabel.
How often do you see that, Puck? I mean, you don't
hardly
really
ever.
See that.
Hardly ever.
He was there 5 years.
Yeah.
And so you like you think of farm boy, work ethic, good kid, drinks Busch Lights.
Crushing Busch Lights for 12 hours.
You're talking about. I mean, whatever it is, it sounds like they're going to play him at left guard, though, because that's where they lost Tomlinson. But wherever, left guard's not exactly locked up either. Whichever one he's best at. I remember one time talking to Mark Schlereth about that back in the old days at Cairo. And he said it's not as easy as you would think to just go from, hey, you're a right guard, but we want to try you over at left guard. It's not as easy as you would think. So I would try and tailor it, whatever he's most comfortable at, left guard or right guard.
Yeah, but he's done it all, though. It's not like it's different. I mean, maybe for guys who've never done it before, but he's done it all. He started 60 every game last year at left tackle. He's not going to be a left tackle.
No, but if he's better than Charles Cross, why not?
Yeah, but I mean, he's not going to play him at left tackle. He's going to be a guard or a light. He's going to be a guard or a center.
Yeah. No, this is one of those picks that I don't think you can go back a year or two from now and second guess. God, in 2025, when they took Zabel, like let's take your scenario. If he's not that good, I don't think you're going to go, God, they shouldn't have taken him. And then you look at whoever was picked 19 and 20 and 21.
Oh,
look
sure.
who they could have had, and look at what he's doing in Miami or wherever.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think that's going to be the case with him. I don't think we're going to go look back like D. Eskridge of a few years ago and go, well, they should have gotten Creed Humphrey instead. I don't think we're going to be doing that. I mean, maybe people will do it if Emeka Egbuka has just some incredible year there with Tampa Bay, an incredible career, which was great to watch, just all the celebration. The guy was at a freaking mansion, by the way, in Lakewood. I didn't know those existed in Lakewood. I'll be honest with you. Sorry, Lakewood, unnecessary shot, but I did not think that massive house existed there.
No, Lakewood has some nice areas.
I guess around the lake, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
No, it's beautiful down there.
It was but the house was huge.
I mean, you got to get off I-5 and go through some, kind of shady neighborhoods to get there.
Yeah.
I mean, Mikey and Stevie played baseball down that way.
I guess that's where Tacoma Country Club is. So yeah, there is some nice places around there. But yeah, I don't know. I think afterwards,
Golf and Country Club. Okay, get it right.
What did I say?
Country Club, but yeah, they put golf in front of the Country Club.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I don't think you're going to be looking back, and I mean, maybe he'll be compared to Donovan Jackson at Ohio State if Donovan Jackson ends up having a better, career than him. But I don't think there's any fault with what they did here with this pick. Again, it's what everybody wanted them to do, and just the versatility, and you just love that about him, and just the look and the background. What an athletic family. Both parents playing college sports. One of his older brothers is a pitcher in college. His other brother plays football at North Dakota State. He, by the way, I saw Ian Rappaport. I'm watching the NFL Network last night. This guy, he was a high school pitcher. They say he claims that he throws low 90s. Does Grey Zabel from the left side? I'm like, where's Dipoto? Get this guy on the mat. Can you imagine if hey Grey, why don't you come with us here for a summer and pitch, for a couple of months. What is he? What's his measurables? 6'6", 300 pounds. Can you imagine that guy on the mound?
Oh my God. You'd be shaking in your boots before you got in the batter's box.
Oh, yeah. It's I'm excited for what they did, excited for what they'll do here on day 2, and they can even add more to their offensive line or more to the defensive line. But I thought about John Schneider last night too, when he had the meeting with the media earlier in the week, talking about it being a lazy narrative about the offensive line. And that was a shot at everyone in the media, but it was also a shot at the fans. But I think what he was getting at, it wasn't a very good way of wording it. I would probably have advised him to word it differently. That was almost Dipoto-like what he said when he said that. But he was like, hey, we haven't had a draft yet, I think is what he was trying to say. And I think he was also trying to say, all those guys you were talking about in free agency that were offensive linemen, we didn't think they were worth what they were asking for. And so we didn't want to pay them what they wanted. And so we're going to address this in the draft, and we're going to be a hell of a lot better. And rightfully so. I mean, you think about it, no shit, Jim, you need a good offensive line for your offense to function properly, but especially with Sam Darnold. I mean, the guy sees ghosts. That we know that about his history, and we saw him against the Rams in the playoff game and the Lions, and he doesn't like a fierce rush very well, and no quarterback does, but Geno improvised better than Darnold does. So I mean, this is just a win-win. Sam Darnold had to be doing a standing ovation. Sam Darnold.
I mean, if you're Sam Darnold, you're thinking, God, Grey Zabel, this is awesome. What a great pick. Let's get another offensive lineman in round 2, or even 2 more.
I mean, I would get as many offensive linemen. I've said this before. I'd get as many offensive linemen as I possibly could. I mean, that's the thing, is this just doesn't stop here. They don't need to stop, with all right, well, we got this guy.
Are you okay with Olu at center, and then that? Who are those?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not okay with. I'm not.
Bradford, Lamea, and Haynes.
I'm not okay with any of them because they proved nothing. So if the best available center right now is the Jared Wilson guy out of Georgia, Jared Wilson is there. Take him. Just take him right away. If you get to the other guards, there's another guard at Georgia, the Tate Ratledge. Rob State and I talked about him. Both of those guys, if they're there, take them. I don't think there's nothing that Oluwatimi or Bradford or even Christian Haynes showed you to go, well, we're good there. Now, they may have their internal thoughts about those guys, and maybe they're like, hey, we think, and I know that's what they think. They think the guys they have, Bradford, Oluwatimi, Haynes, and they may be right, by the way, Laumea, these guys are better for the scheme that we're trying to play this year. I
forgot about that.
And again, and maybe at the end of the year they're right, and they are. But what we've seen in the last year or two, no one should have a guaranteed spot on that offense line other than the tackles. That's it. No one.
Okay, I'm laughing, but you might be right about that. I mean, do you think Bradford though, when they hired Clint Kubiak, he was like, "Oh God, finally, man." I mean, I'm shitty at this one scheme, but boy, that outside zone blocking, I'm hell on wheels. I'm going to be good to go. And you might be right. You might be right. And, come the end of the season, everything's going to work out well. But I think if you can block, you can block. And it doesn't matter what the damn scheme is. But you can't block.
Yeah, but there might be. Yeah, but different skill sets. I mean, I tend to agree with you. I think blocking is blocking, and you kind of adapt to whatever scheme is laid out there for you. So, yeah, I tend to agree with you more, but maybe a new set of eyes. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, but
for how long?
Well, I mean, I'm not writing off. I don't want to write off Christian Haynes. I mean, it's 1 year. It's like I'm not going to just say, well, Christian Haynes is terrible. But
is this his third year coming up now?
No, second year.
Just second. Okay. Well, there's still time for him. You can't give up on Christian Haynes yet.
No. That's yeah. So I don't. Where if we were doing a draft today, okay? TV personalities. Where would we draft Chris Egan?
Oh, Chris Egan among local TV personalities. Probably number one overall.
Really?
Well, who do we have to choose from?
All the local TV personalities.
No, I know. Okay, we'll go through them then. We got what's the guy's name at Como? Nico.
It doesn't have to be sports. It can be all. You can be, anchors. Greg Copeland.
Who's he with?
Greg Copeland's with King 5.
Okay. Well, let's just go with sports.
Mary Nom.
There's Sylvie. Yeah. The guy you have on Chris at 7. Cairo.
Chris Francis.
Chris Francis. I love Chris Francis. I'd put
he doesn't work. I don't think he's there anymore.
Oh, where'd he go?
I don't think he's
shit canned too.
I don't think he's in TV. I think Cairo got rid of their sports department.
Oh, and Mike Ferrari, I really liked him, but I think he's tearing it up in the real estate now.
Mike is selling real estate. All right. Well, he's he much like Cam Ward. He's the number one pick probably in TV personalities, but just because it's a down year. Ladies and gentlemen, from King 5, it's Chris Egan. What are we eating, a hoagie? What do we got here?
Well, Jim, hello to you. Happy Friday, Puckett. Happy Friday. We hosted Easter Sunday last week, so I got 2 spiral hams, which they were delicious. The only problem is I've got a lot of extra ham, so I've been finding myself having ham sandwiches every day for lunch and ham and eggs for breakfast. So we're almost out of it. So there you go.
I think ham is underrated. Ham gets a bad rap every time. Like I hear people like, "Oh God, ham." I love ham. I love going to that honey baked ham place. And as soon as I get in the car, I unwrap that gold wrapper and I'm just like eating while I'm driving. It's perfect.
Jim, you have just uncoiled one of my favorite Frosty Western moments of all time. He is driving his station wagon from PLU down to, and this is how the story goes, because my good friend was the backup quarterback, Carl Hoseth, and the starting quarterback at the time was Mark Weekley. So Frosty would drive the quarterbacks from PLU down to Sparks Stadium in his yellow station wagon with email license plates. And Carl says the story goes that Mark Weekley was in the front seat and pulls out a sandwich, and it was a ham sandwich. And Frosty looks at it and he literally goes, "Is that ham?" He goes, yeah, that's ham, Frosty. He goes, "What is up with ham? It is the most underrated lunch meat of all time. It's turkey this, turkey that, roast beef, turkey, pastrami. Nobody talks about ham. I love ham." So I miss Frosty. I miss those fun stories, but it just kind of reminded me of that fun moment where Frosty could just take a ham sandwich and turn it into a half an hour.
We have ham all the time, so I'm a little taken aback by this. Is ham like
ham? It's like too much sodium. Too much
really?
This.
There's no better deli meat than ham. There's nothing better than ham.
I agree. I just think
ham like they talk about Spam.
Yeah, I think people love to think that turkey is just the ultimate lunch meat, and
it's not even real turkey.
Meat. I know. I agree. So I love ham. I just pull it out of the baggie. So I've been very happy eating a lot of ham this week. So
good for you.
Yeah, I mean the sun is shining, guys. The flowers are out. The tulips are still blossoming. The Mariners are right there in first place. The Seahawks. A lady last night at the draft party at the Clearwater Casino when they made their pick, she literally came and bear hugged me and said, "Thank God, we finally drafted a guard." And the place erupted. The fans were very excited. I tell you what, good pick. And I'm with you guys listening in there. I think if there's a center or another guard available, just draft as many as you can get. Load up. Load up
Egan,
the tank.
Egan.
Yeah.
Egan, I saw some of those pictures here. Okay, I want to put you in an uncomfortable spot of that draft party you were at last night. If everyone in that audience was wearing shorts, how many calf tattoos?
I would say over 70% calf tattoos. In fact, I met a guy whose Instagram handle is Tattoo Seahawk Fan. So I mean, they were locked, but it was a fun event. And I'm telling you what,
Jim, hold on, Jim, have you seen pictures of this thing that he was at last night?
I saw he was interviewing Earl Thomas.
Yeah. Oh, we're going to get to the Earl Thomas. Sit down in a second. No.
I do want your guys' thoughts on
Hold on. But hey, this was, where did he go? Oh, he got a phone call. Now he's knocked himself off. Turn your do not disturb on.
I'm here.
Hey,
I'm here.
Jim.
I just did. Sorry.
Jim, everybody at that party last night was on the urinal.
Oh, yeah.
See. Hawks. See. Hawks. Every one of them.
Oh, Jim.
Every one of them, Jim.
Jim, you know why I love those events? Because I'm actually emceeing like 9 events in May, and a lot of them have scripts, and you've got to talk about these fundraisers you're getting, you're trying to benefit, which are great. They're great causes. A Seahawks event, when in doubt, all you got to do is grab the mic and just go, "See!"
It looked like a fun time there. I mean, you were saying 500 people were at this.
500 plus, sold out. Julian Love, Uchenna was there. Kenny McIntosh, Kobe Russell. It was.
Jim, it was the best traffic day yesterday in the history of 167 because everyone was on Clearwater.
And you know what, guys? I have not been there. You two are frequent gamblers.
Great.
The view outside the back with the water, oh my God.
That is one of, if not the best casino in this area.
Yeah.
I've stayed there. It's unbelievable.
First
Beautiful.
class. Yeah, I thought it was first class. The food was great. They did a great job last night. And the fans, it was a special moment to see Earl Thomas get a standing ovation from 500 Seahawks fans. This is a guy that, you know what? I think he needed that night last night. And it was good for him. His dad was there. They were in tears. So special night, and I'm excited for him, and just hopefully he's rebonding with the 12s now, and he's planning to come back out during the summertime for a football camp, a free football camp he's going to put on. So it was good. Everything.
Yeah, that's all very touching, Chris. But what do you say about the threesome with his brother?
Jim, I didn't ask that. I knew you would go there. I felt
that was my first text to him, Jim.
I did not.
I didn't see it.
Here's my question, Jim. Here's my question to you, because you're usually good at answering these questions. I show the picture, and it kind of goes viral that ET's back, and probably, I think there was over 100,000 views, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, probably 80,000 of them liked it or whatever on different social medias. They're happy about Earl Thomas, but there are there's some negative out there, and people just still upset about the way he ended, flipping off Pete And my question to you is, why is Earl, you look at the stats, guys. 7-time Pro Bowler, first-team All-Pro, led this defense, arguably one of the best defenses in NFL history, to a Super Bowl championship. Michael Bennett took shots at Pete Carroll. We all love Michael Bennett. He's on the Seahawks broadcast team.
I don't.
Richard Sherman left here.
I don't think everybody does.
Okay, well, I guess my question was, it's just like, I just didn't understand why, he broke his leg on a contract year during a game. It was an emotional time. You know what? I just don't know why people are making such a huge deal about this.
I'll volley in two things. It's not just that play, and I have a big issue with that. But again, that's fine. I mean, you flip off your coach getting carted off the field. He had nothing to do with your leg getting broken.
Yeah,
but again,
I kicked a cooler and flipped off my brother during a softball game. We're still buddies.
But before that, see, I think people conveniently forget what he did the prior year.
Wait, he held out of training camp.
He went into the Cowboys locker room and told the Cowboys to come get me. That is number one violation of a team player. Fuck that. I am honestly kind of tired of people defending him so much. He's a great player, and I think we should welcome him back and all that. But this revisionist history with Earl Thomas to me is something else. He went into the locker room on a playoff game and told the Cowboys to come get me. I would have cut his ass that day.
He didn't go behind people's backs and try to get them fired in the organization like some other players did.
I'm not saying Russell isn't at fault, and I'm not, Michael Bennett reading a book and Richard Sherman doing the things he did, and you're right.
Oh, and there's a running back. Let's also, that
were
some reports of DUIs. I mean, it's not like Earl was endangering people out there. I mean, this guy gave his life on the field for this team, and I just don't get it how this guy is not in the Ring of Honor, because in my mind he is. We're talking 50 years of Seahawks football. He's one of the greatest Seahawks of all time, and I would argue any on that.
But he will be.
Yeah,
he will
I would hope.
I mean, because no one from that team has been in there yet.
No, that's true. But Mike, he's not as smooth on camera as a Doug Baldwin or a Richard Sherman, and I think I don't know. I just feel like sometimes people don't, I just think he gets attacked a lot. I don't understand it. So,
well, first of all, where did you interview him at?
Well, that's
I mean, because there's a lot to unpack. There's a lot
going on. Yeah,
there's so
people thought it was a Motel 6.
It was a motel.
It was a Quality Inn.
Why is he staying at a Quality Inn?
It was just for one night. He was rolling into town with his family, and there was a bunch of family. Here's the thing we forget about the heyday of the Seahawks, and I'm talking about 2012, 2013, 2014. And I'd love to see this come back, but the Seahawks is not just a professional team. Back then, it was a family. You had Mama Sherman, Mama Lynch, or Papa Earl, Grandpa Pastor Earl. I mean, and so I get to the Quality Inn. I'm like, I think we're at the right place, because out front, it's all the moms and dads. There's Mama McIntosh and Papa Earl talking about fishing. And so I think they needed just a place that they could get everybody to and get a bunch of rooms together.
Were they all in the same room?
No,
or did they have multiple rooms?
They had the whole floor, and I feel bad for a guy by the name of Jimmy that was working the front desk because here's what's literally going. Earl the third needs a float room on the floor 2. He's like, I've got Earl a room on floor 2. And they're like, no, that's Earl the second you got on floor 2. You got Earl the third on floor 3. No.
What's Earl doing now?
He lives in Orange, Texas. He has 3 kids. He pretty much says he watches his kids play sports. His oldest is big into track. His younger 2 basketball. He says he gets his good 8 to 9 hours of sleep. He eats well, and then he plays basketball a lot. Then watches his kids. So he did not rule out Jim wanting to be a coach, but in my mind, holy cow! I would take basketball out and insert pickleball, but sleep 9 to 10 hours, watch my kids play pickleball, and eat well. I mean, that's living.
Was that your first interview with an athlete at a Quality Inn?
That's a great question, Buck. I think during the Olympics, that's why it wasn't odd to me. Other people were like, oh, where's that interview? When you're doing the Olympics, whenever you can get an athlete, you sit down and you get the interview. And I guess my concern was we get to the quality end and they're like, Earl's in his room. I'm like, all right, let's get the interview. And you guys know Earl, at that point, he hadn't done an interview with anybody. So I'm like, we just got to do this. Because, I mean, I remember being in Kansas City at Arrowhead, and Earl had a big interception against the Chiefs. And I went into the locker room, and I sat down with Earl, and I said, tell me about that interception. And he looked at me and goes, I remember being a kid, dirt road in Texas. And I'm like, what is happening? And then all of a sudden, like, Greg Bell comes behind me and Bob Condotta. And, you get all the media behind you. Also, there's like 10 people behind me. And he's like, I just didn't know where I was going to go, back then. And I hear Greg Bell go, what did Egan ask him?
Oh, God.
So I love Earl. I think the word, some people would say he's unique in his own way. So I'm like, at that point, let's just sit down and get this interview rolling. Okay. Could we have gone into the free breakfast area, near the waffle maker and lit up that area? We probably could have.
Yeah. Well, and then, Jim, have you seen the interview?
I saw the snippet. I don't think I've seen the full-length interview.
Okay. Before I get serious on him in a second, was he wearing, what were the shorts again? Was he wearing
76er shorts, but he did claim
he had swim shorts on.
The Celtics were going to win now last night though, Puck, I mean, we got to look to fast forward to last night at the draft party. He had a beautiful outfit on, and another great interview last night, but yes. Okay.
But on the interview that you did in the room, was he not wearing, I texted it to you, it sure looked like what kind of shorts was he wearing? And that he was wearing,
I think those are the shorts when you go to an AAU.
They were Atlanta Braves. They were like Atlanta Braves swim shorts.
Yeah, but have you gone to an AAU basketball tournament and there's usually a front desk selling socks and shorts? I think those were the shorts you get. I think it was just very stylish. Okay, I try not. I'm wearing a flannel from TJ Maxx and a Kid Sensation hat, so I'm not one to talk fashion here.
On a serious note, when I watched it, he does not seem right to me.
Well,
and listen, years of playing football, I can do it to people, but he, to me, like, I came away from that. I'm just curious. On a serious note, if you have the same thought, that I was concerned is maybe too strong, but just a little. Concerned. I was concerned after that.
Pop, two points to go off of on that. Well, 3 points here. Number one, I understand where you're going with this. Because I thought he would answer a question for 10 to 15 seconds and kind of fade off into another thing. But if you go back to even my story with the Kansas City Chiefs, that's kind of how he was when he was with the Seahawks.
So he's kind of uncomfortable in front of the camera, you think?
I think so. And then I go to last night, we had him, and I said, could you join us live? The Seahawks made their pick, and I just and he came up, and he was great. And I threw the 3 questions at him and said, hey, I want to ask about the pick. I want to talk about your draft night, and then tonight getting this award. And I thought last night, if we look at that interview,
Tell people to stop calling you during the show.
I thought he was great last night. Yeah. I mean, we're in the middle of a Puckett podcast here. Come on, everybody. I thought he was great last night. So.
Okay. All right. So better. I did not see last night.
But Puck, you were correct. I mean, other people were commenting about that too. I saw that on YouTube, and people are a little concerned. And in the end, I'm just happy he hadn't been here since 2019, and I think it shows how polarizing a figure this guy is, because people were just going crazy that he was back. And it also just brings back, maybe the greatest, couple of years in Seattle sports history, that 2013, 2014.
Well, I think it begs the question, which will always be debated forever with that defense, who was the most impactful player. I'll contend it was him.
Yeah. Well,
that's what I think.
Defense.
That's what I think.
The last guy there. But no, I mean, Earl Thomas, Chris, you're right. I mean, everything about him as a Seahawk, for the most part, it was all good. I mean, we all appreciated, especially even when they took him. Who was the O'Day kid that was upset that he wasn't taken?
Taylor
Mays.
Yeah, he was upset. And, Taylor, I mean, bless his heart, he was wrong about that. Earl Thomas was the pick, and Earl just ran with it. I think we embraced the crazy in Earl Thomas because it was kind of playful crazy. And then the crazy just got kind of too weird for all of us toward the end. And that's part of it too. When I think of Earl Thomas, I think, okay, yeah, it's a terrific Seahawks chapter. But after that, toward the end, with going to the Cowboys locker room, flipping off Pete Carroll, and then wherever he went, Baltimore, and then it just never seemed to. He's a guy that kind of squandered the rest of his career. All the equity that he built up, he kind of like chiseled away at that in the end.
The stuff, especially with the Baltimore episode, is if there is anything that ultimately keeps him out of the Hall of Fame, it's going to be that. It's gonna be that episode and just everything that kind of was that stop for him. But based on what he did in Seattle, should he be in the Hall of Fame? Yeah, I mean, I absolutely believe so. I mean, looking back as a fan, for me, the flip it, like if you're going to rank how he, and you're right, Chris. I mean, there's a Marshawn Lynch didn't get on a plane to fly to Minnesota. There's a lot of baggage with that team because they had a lot of big personalities. And you are right. We have forgave them all. I mean, the Marshawn Lynch one is to this day a really amazing to me. And I love Marshawn Lynch, but it is amazing what people just file away like, oh, that's not a big deal. This is a guy in Vegas that crashed his car because of DUI and was slumped over the wheel, shit-faced, and had to be pulled out.
Well,
I mean, you know what I mean?
He took many shots at Pete Carroll's as well at practices,
of course,
and things like that too. So I mean, and help me out here, Jim. You probably wrote a story about this back in the days of the PI. Wasn't there something back in the days with Kenny Easley and the Seahawks?
Well, he sued the team. He sued the team because they gave him too much. They gave him they misdiagnosed and gave him the pain medication that led to his
kidney issue or something
that led to his kidney disease. So your point is they're all going to be welcome back.
Yeah,
all of them. Earl Thomas will be in the Ring of Honor. All of them are. And most fans, I think you're hearing from minority fans. I think the majority of the fans like Earl Thomas and love Earl Thomas.
Yeah, and it's easy to be on social media and get on there and be one of them. Take a shot. It's fine.
Think about Richard Sherman for a second. Just look at Richard Sherman. This guy's on a Ring video camera, beating down the door of his in-laws, looking like a lunatic, and he gets a job at Amazon.
Yeah,
I mean, and then gets to go and still welcome back with the Seahawks. I mean, it's we forgive and forget stuff that famous people and athletes do all the time.
Yeah, well, especially with the passage of time. It just,
of course,
time has to pass.
Yeah,
I agree.
It's like the people that don't like Russell Wilson, even the organization that doesn't like him. Do you really think that Russell Wilson's not going to be inducted into the Ring of Honor? I mean, come on.
There is one player, Puckett, that won't. I don't think will be welcome back. Eric Bedard.
If you're talking Mariners.
Well, if you're talking Mariners, Sean Pickens. Hey! I want you to take Jim Moore to task. Remember, he the whole Cal Raleigh coming back. Mariners are terrible. Take him to task.
Jim, I don't like to gloat, a lot, but I do remember being on this podcast. I was talking about just how great of a man Cal Raleigh was. First day of spring training, he just said, "Chris, you're ready for an interview," and then he took time to fly back to Seattle for the Seattle Sports Awards, and a brilliant Jim Moore that stays positive 100% of the day just says, "So what do you want me to write, Chris, when they're in last place? That you know what? It's okay because Cal Raleigh came back home to Seattle."
Yeah.
And it's what?
Yell at him, Egan.
Here, I'm not going to yell at him because I don't want to gloat, but I do want to say this, and that not against Jim, but the way Cal Raleigh has done things. Okay, this is a guy that shows up to spring training early, takes time, goes one-on-one. If Puckett wants an interview, if Jim Moore wants it, if I want to, well, Jim, I'm not going to you on this. I'm not going to you, but who should learn a little bit here? The reason I think the Mariners can only get better is Mr. Julio Rodriguez, who has to have a group interview. It has to be all together at once. Maybe Julio should take a step back and just watch how Cal does things a little bit. Just throwing it out there. Just throwing it out there.
Okay, two things, Chris. If I can, rain on your sunshine a little bit.
Sure.
Where would Cal Raleigh be without the torpedo bat right now? And it sure seems to me that he strikes out a lot. Your thoughts?
Well, he's an MVP catcher. That's all I care about. And the torpedo bat is there, so why not use it? Why not hit with it? And so you know what? And they're in first place. They don't have George Kirby. They don't have Matt Brash. And you know what?
Negative Jim.
Yeah.
You know, he has hit home runs that does not include the torpedo bat, right?
I just went out of my way to be a dick. I was just kind of
unbelievable.
I mean, normally I don't have to go out of my way to be a dick. It just
leading
catches.
Hey, and Jim, just in case you're concerned about the crowds this weekend, there's 3 beautiful giveaways.
The Sailor's hat? I mean, whatever to get people to show up to watch the fucking Marlins. Do whatever you got to do. Jesus.
Marlins aren't that bad. I saw they're 11 and 13.
Okay, name me one player on the Marlins.
I can't do it.
Yeah, no, you can't. I can't.
I can't either.
I'm going to say Rodriguez.
I'm blanking on this.
I mean, honestly.
Is Craig Counsell still?
Yeah.
Okay, wouldn't it be just like the Mariners to get swept by the Marlins after building up all of this? You know, God, the Mariners.
Sure,
Jim.
Yes, Jim.
Jim,
of course.
We've seen that before many times, Jim. The place will be packed, and yeah.
Oh my God, this is a group of nobodies, absolute nobodies. It's unbelievable.
We got to sweep them.
No, but you're right, Jim. You're right. Yeah, they'll get swept or lose 2 out of 3.
Who's on the mound tonight, Puck? Who's pitching?
Quantrill. It's
for us.
Logan Gilbert.
I'm like, who? Did we just bring up somebody from Tacoma?
Logan Gilbert tonight, Castillo tomorrow, and then Bryce Miller Sunday, which is Bryce Miller's being a huge concern to me. This is a red flag stuff, and they got to figure it out. But I mean, he's not pitching great, and his arm's sore after every start, and his velocity is down. So
red flag, yes. George Kirby coming. Hancock looked great, so I don't think that necessarily means Hancock's going back down to Tacoma if Miller can't get it going. But my question is, why do we keep seeing Solano in the lineup, guys?
Oh my God,
Chris, come on.
Get him out.
You got to stick with him. He's Donnie Barrels.
Get him out. Just bring up Locklear now. He's hitting 083.
I try to be a baseball mind and try to think positive. I can't figure this one out.
Can I share, before you go, now Chris has got to go here in a minute. Can I share my favorite video from last night, from the draft? Favorite video. All right, here you go. This is, Will Campbell was selected 4th overall by the New England Patriots.
Mr. Louisiana, but you just got a love letter from the New England Patriots. You haven't stopped smiling since you heard your name. What's behind that smile?
Man, just all the hard work.
Congratulations.
I've worked my entire life to be up here, to be able to get my name called by a franchise like New England. It means everything to me.
We can feel that. We absolutely can feel that, Will. You are brought to New England to protect Drake May. What kind of tone are you going to set on this offensive line?
I'm going to fight and die to protect them with everything I've got.
Congratulations, Will.
I appreciate it.
That was so emotional that apparently Jim Moore had to leave. Where you just get up in the middle of it. Good Lord. I love that. I mean, I'll fight and die to protect them.
That's who you want on your team. And I don't know his story. I don't know his story, Puck, but the emotions there, that sounds like a kid that probably missed a few birthday parties through the years, because he was in the gym lifting weights. That's a kid that probably mom and dad had him up early, 6 a.m. and working late. And that's cool. And that's what I love about draft nights, to see a young kid that I remember seeing for the first time when he was a junior at Steilacoom, Emeka Ibuka, and to meet his mom and dad, during that interview process at Steilacoom High, and then to see him last night, just surrounded by all those family members, and just because it is one player, but it's just we saw that with Gray too. Everybody's down in Busch Lights. I mean, God bless them. I mean, what a fun night.
When's the last time you had a Busch Light?
It's been a while, Puck. I honestly, I think it maybe was at the Potholes with a couple of my buddies back in Oh
Fucking
God,
pothole.
1989. We went over to my
How many
dad's trailer.
how many walleye did you get there that weekend?
We got a bucket full of perch and a couple of walleye.
Yeah,
and,
you did. Yeah, you did.
We had Milwaukee's best and Bush Light.
Here's my other favorite video. Okay, then you got to go. I know you got to go.
Oh no!
You ready? Watch. This is Kelvin Banks when he was selected. Watch his baby. Watch the baby. You see the baby? Watch the baby. Watch the baby on the right.
Oh boy!
Whoops. Threw up all over mom. I was so excited. Threw up all over mom.
Oh,
that was
awesome.
a great one.
And Puck and Jim, before I go, let you go. I do want to give a shout out. I know we've talked about it a lot on this podcast. Girls flag football.
That's right.
They approved it. They did the right thing, and it's awesome. Way to go, athletic directors that made the votes there and made that happen. So good stuff. And I'll save it for next week. Got an incredible story coming out of Edmonds. It's going to be on King 5. I don't think it's going to air next week, so we can tease it a little bit next week. But just one of the greatest stories, Puck, and we've done a lot through the years, but in my 25 years at King 5, what this girl persevered to go through, that's my little tease right there. I've never met another athlete that's gone through more than she has. So we got that coming up in the next week. So there
great
you go,
stuff.
Yeah.
All right, we'll talk to you next week. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, guys. Have a great weekend.
Yep,
See you,
there
Chris.
he is, Chris Egan, King 5 News, who joins us every single Friday. All right. Well, I'm not sure what we accomplished today, Jim, but we did something. Not sure what. Not sure what's on the agenda for a Friday on this weekend in Lovely Bend.
Oh, by the way, before I get to that, he handled that interview with Earl Thomas a lot better than you and I would have. Can you imagine if we had him on this podcast or back at KJR?
Well, I mean, I would have handled it the same in the hotel room.
All you and I care about is that threesome, really.
I would not have asked that in the motel room because that's a place we would have been killed.
Yeah,
we would have been.
Could have been. But your previous question, I don't really have much going on. Oh, well, yeah, I kind of do. Gonna go to Best Buys or Costco today to put some of those winnings into a big screen. I'm thinking 85-inch TV.
Love it.
I'm going to get a 65-inch for outside.
Great.
If I have any money left over, I'm going to do what old people do, and that's buy electric bikes now I'm thinking about.
Okay.
I might do that.
An electric bike. Is that the rave? Or is that the rave and Bend now?
Yeah, when you get old, you can't pedal up hills anymore, and so you just kind of, I guess, turn on a switch and just have the bike go up the hill for you. So
love it.
Thinking about doing that. Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Can't wait. Hey, can't wait to see you
when you're coming down here. You're going to be
see you in about a month. See you in about a month or so, right? Yeah.
That'll be good.
Can't wait. All right. Enjoy your weekend. As always, go Cougs, my friend.
All right, Puck. Go Cougs.
There he is, Jim Moore, with us, the go-to guy with us on Monday, Wednesdays, and he's with sometimes during the week. A lot of draft talk today. Little M's. We got again round 2 coming up later today. Starts at what's earlier today, right? 4:00. Round number 2. So they've got picks 50, 52, 82, and 92. We'll see if they keep all of those picks or do they try to package and do something differently. And Rob State and I talked about this a lot. He mentioned the 2 Georgia guys, the center and the guard. This frees you up to even do more along the offensive line if you'd like, or address the defensive line. They probably have to do that. Defensive line, perhaps corner if a corner is there. I think people are going to be intrigued, especially in the second round, of what they do at quarterback. If they do anything at quarterback, we shall see. Certainly all the guys are still available there. We'll probably get into the Shedeur Sanders thing in Hey, What the Puck, but there's a lot there. I think they accomplished goal number 1 was just to find something to help out and solidify that offensive line. And kudos to John Schneider's entire staff over there. They did that yesterday with the acquisition, with the drafting there of Grey Zabel. Just feels like it's going to work, that it's a home run, that it's exactly the type of guy that they needed. All right, every Friday we talk a little bit baseball with our scout, anonymous baseball scout, Major League Baseball scout, 30-plus years in the game. And we try to get a behind-the-scenes look at the Mariners and the rest of baseball. We missed him last week, but he's back this week. We remember a couple of weeks ago we talked about Ben Williamson. He was the one who said days prior to them calling up Williamson, bring him up, What do you got to lose? 2 days later, they call him up, and Ben Williamson has been great. They need to do it with another player, and that being Tyler Locklear. We get into that. We get into Ben Williamson. We talk about Bryce Miller's health, all of that on this week's edition of The Scout. A week, it's another edition of The Scout, the real scoop on the M's in baseball from our anonymous baseball scout, who currently works for a Major League Baseball team, has been covering the sport for the past 30 years, and the Scout is on the road as we currently speak. Good afternoon. I should say good morning to you, Scout.
Good morning to you too, Puck. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Where do we find you? It sounds like you're on the car phone. You're driving around. Where do we find you on this Friday morning?
Yeah, just almost to Centralia. I'm on my way to Eugene this weekend to cover the Beavers and the Ducks.
The Beavers and the Ducks. All right. Who are we? Can you specifically say who you're looking at or not?
Well, I mean, you look at all of them. I mean, obviously,
okay.
I was 25. You got draft class, and both teams have some high-profile players, no question. Oregon State's got Oregon State will have one of the top 5 picks in the country with Abe Arquette. I got to believe he's going to be a high first-round pick. Some people think he might be one of the first picks in the draft.
Who is that? Who is that again, Scout?
Abe Arquette. He's a shortstop for Oregon State. He's a young man from Hawaii that spent his first 2 years at University of Washington, and they made a coaching change, and so that he moved down to Oregon State. So good player. Both clubs. I mean, I hate to even talk about one player because they've got great players on both teams. It'll be a really fun weekend for baseball. They've got the spring game down there, so the series is sold out too, and we know the Beavers and the Ducks at the Hatfields and McCoys, they don't like each other, so it should be a fun weekend of baseball. Are
you surprised in your years being around baseball what Oregon State has turned into and what they've become?
Yes and no. I think one thing that I think they've really done a nice job of. Coach Casey had started his career there, I think 1995, and basically 10 years later in 05 they got to Omaha. And the good thing about Oregon State, what they did was they continued to reinvest in their program. So they did a great job of just reinvesting, and obviously Coach Casey did a great job. And then when he retired, a former Beaver came back, Mitch Canham, that was in the Mariners organization as a minor league coach, and he's picked up right where they left off, and they keep adding and keep investing into their program. So it's a little surprising just because it's a Northwest school and those types of things, but the people that they've had involved in the program, the commitment from the administration, all the hard work that they put in, it doesn't surprise me they're continuing to do what they're doing.
It's phenomenal to watch that program become what they are today. Hey, let's switch over to the Mariners. Last time we talked, we did not talk last week, but prior to that, we talked about Ben Williamson, and you said, well, what's the wait? Just bring him up. I mean, what could it possibly hurt? And then I think it was either a day or two later, they bring up Ben Williamson. And Scout, he has been phenomenal. I mean, he's not only in the field, but I think he's surprising and turning a lot of heads what he's been able to do at the plate.
Yeah, there was no question what he was going to do defensively. When it comes to the defensive side of things, the only thing he had to do was just probably get comfortable at the big league level because he's played great defense at the minor league level. Offensively, it's to be determined. I mean, he only has 500 AA and AAA at bats. I think he had about 400, 400 plus AA at bats last year, and then obviously AAA this year. So he's got about 500 bats, and he's about a 275 career minor league hitter. So only 33 at bats at this point in the big leagues, but he's off to a good start. Sometimes it's because of talent. Sometimes it's because sometimes other clubs don't know how to attack you. So probably a little bit too early to talk about what type of offensive player he's going to be, Puck, but it's nice for him to be off to a good start.
Well, it's been great to watch him off to a good start. To me, Scout, I would say, and we'll get to what he does in the field, I would say at the plate, he just doesn't look overwhelmed to me.
No, he's got a short stroke. He's not your typical corner, playing third base, more of a defender type. He almost is one of those guys, Pucks, that seems like he would have fit more in the 80s and the 90s.
Right.
Before the big ball came in, because he's a defender that's a contact type guy. I don't think he's ever going to be the type of guy that hits 30 home runs at third base. But if you're a really good defender and you touch the baseball and you make a lot of contact, I mean, there's total value for you, especially on a team like Seattle that, I got to believe they value defense with the great pitching that they have.
Yeah, and then the glove. I mean, again, you've talked about his glove. A lot of people have mentioned just how good he is defensively, and boy, he just has not disappointed with that at all. I mean, he made a play at Fenway on a ball hit by Alex Bregman where, he picks it on a short hop. His momentum is taking him into foul territory around third base, and he makes just a laser throw to get Bregman out. And he made it look routine, Scout. And I know it's not a routine play.
No, but they are routine for guys like him. Guys that are plus offenders, right? They make those look, they make the game look easy. He does on the defensive side of things. When you watch guys get called up to the big leagues, they speed up offensively, right? Because you're facing better stuff and they're just uncomfortable. And some guys do that on the defensive end too as well. They make the moment bigger than it is. The brief looks that I've had at Williamson, he sure doesn't. He sure seems to look like he slows everything down on the defensive end and makes the game look easy.
And I've just seen. I'll move on from Ben Williamson here in a second. I've established myself as the president of the Ben Williamson fan club now. So I just every time, and I love third base. It's like my favorite position. So I just gush in watching him play. He's third base porn to me, which is, I know that's odd to say, but it just is for me. His composure, that he's done a couple interviews after the game. He just, you said it earlier. He comes off very old school, like he's been up there, and he's a kind of a blast from the past. Like it just does, even when his interviews, he looks calm and collected.
Yeah, I kind of call him a flatliner. And obviously on the scouting side, sometimes you get to know players. I'm by no means going to tell you that I know anything about Bill Williamson as a person because I don't, other than just interviews and watching him play. But like I said, he's just really consistent. He doesn't make especially like I said in his interviews, he doesn't seem like it's a huge deal. He just goes out and does his job and trying to do the best that he can. And like I said, I'm quite sure, offensively, I can see him continue to grow just because of that mentality. The game's hard, right? It's a really, really hard game, and if you're too high and too low, you'll never show that consistency that you need to have to be an everyday big league player.
Do you think the power can come later as he transitions, or is that just something you don't think will ever be part of his game?
He'll drive some balls out of the park. I just don't think he'll ever be known as a home run type guy. I think his junior year in college baseball, he hit 12, but never really a double-digit home run guy. He's hard to really judge his minor league career because he hasn't had a long minor league career. He's had basically a full year at Double-A, which he had a good year, but power wasn't really the main part of his game, and very limited at bats at Triple-A. So no, I don't know if that's necessarily going to be him, but as guys get older, they usually get stronger. They know how to learn how to manipulate the baseball a little bit, and the power usually comes a little bit later when it comes to the tools.
All right, another player that we talked about briefly, I think a few weeks ago, and I'm just wondering, how soon they may bring him up. Donovan Solano's just, he's 37, looks slow. The bat looks slow. He's hitting, I don't know, like 083 right now or something like that. It is every time he goes up there, it's just kind of it's an automatic out right now. How soon, and should they do it fairly soon? Just bring Tyler Locklear up from the Rainiers.
Yeah, I mean, Solano is 37, and when you're, the numbers he's putting up right now at 37, you wouldn't think it's going to go the other way, right? Even though, the guy has had a career, he's been known as a good offensive player, but usually your prime, your best part of your career is usually the 26 to 30 is usually your best part of your career. It's usually not 37. So, yeah, I'm quite sure, if he doesn't get it going, they're going to have to do that. And Locklear is also a corner guy, but he's more of the typical corner guy over Williamson. Williamson's more athletic and more the defender. Locklear plays third and can go over and play first. He's got more power, but he's a bigger strikeout type guy. I mean, he's got probably 50 ABs in the big leagues with 20K, so he's, you can't be a guy that's striking out close to 40% of your bats, and he has done that in the big leagues. But like I said, he's younger and there's more power, so I expect them to continue to do anything that they can to create more offense. Because if they do with that pitching we've talked about probably nausea, that all you got to do is score a couple of runs, and they got a chance to win games.
He's had 82 bats so far down in Tacoma through 21 games, and he struck out 24 times. What would you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, that's high for that level. I mean, it's almost quarter of the time, 25% of the time, and then you go up in the big leagues, you're going to probably add that a little bit more. So, you're looking at a guy that strikes out probably at the big league level 35% of the time, 40% of the time, and you just can't, that guy can't be your everyday unless he's hitting, 30-plus home runs, and I don't know if he's that type of guy.
Yeah. What do you make of him? I mean, do you think can he be a guy that is a fixture in your lineup at first base for years to come?
For years to come, I would say no. But maybe now, because I think, like I said, they're searching for offense, and sometimes, when you're in a certain organization that really needs it, you might get more opportunity, and that opportunity might really change your game. But just watching him, as much as I've seen him, he doesn't seem like the everyday guy that's going to play first base every day for a long period of time and hit 35, 40-plus home runs, which most teams are looking for.
Speaking of like guys that can play every day, he's never been in this role. He's been, he's a utility player. He won a Gold Glove for being a utility player. Dylan Moore is having a fantastic start to this season. 288 batting average, on base nearly a 360. His OPS is at 882. He's got 5 home runs. If you play, can he be an everyday guy, Scout, or if you start playing him more and more and more, will his deficiencies just start to get more exposed?
Most often, I would say, hey, this guy's just a utility player, Buck. That's what I would think. That's the role that Moore's been into, really good at it. But he's experienced. He's 32 years old right now. I could see him being an everyday guy this year and having a really good year. I don't see that for years to come. But in 2025, I can see him for the next year or two being the everyday guy in an offense like Seattle. But, like I said, once again, I don't think he'll put up the same numbers as he did, as a utility type guy. And I don't think the numbers will be off the board. But I think at the end of a 162-game season, you're going to look at Dylan Moore and go, man, this guy was a really good baseball player for us. Like, he really helped this team win games.
For a better team, he would be strictly the utility guy. But it sounds like what you're saying for this team, he needs to be a guy that's playing every day. Yeah,
no question. Because, like I said, they don't have very few teams have players in the minor leagues that can just come up and help in a huge, huge way. So, it's his job in the big scheme of things. It's his job to win. Actually, I should say it's his job to hold on to.
Leo Rivas has been a real welcome surprise. When you've scouted him, what has stood out to you?
He's a good defender, not a power guy. Just, once again, another good baseball player. But hate to say it, the guys we've already talked about. Probably a utility player, but probably not a guy that's your everyday guy. But he's having some nice contributions for the club at this point. But another guy that's just a good baseball player that can play multiple spots for it.
He made one of the most fantastic plays in the final game against the Red Sox. This basket over the shoulder, almost blind catch as Julio was running in on him, which really kind of saved them in that game. It was just a phenomenal catch there by Rivas.
I happen to see that. That's kind of the theme as you're talking, Buck, about the Mariners. You're talking about these really good defenders, guys that are helping guys play defense. And that's not their issue, right? Everybody wants to score more runs. So some of those good defenders, if they can, string some at bats together, they're going to have something.
I want to go to Bryce Miller for a second. Bryce Miller will start on. I'm going to just get I think he goes on Sunday in this series against the Marlins. He has not been sharp, Scout. He has been really off. In every start, he has complained about arm soreness, and his velocity has steadily gone down in each start, especially when he started games and then later in the innings. What is the cause of concern, and when will it be a real concern for the Mariners in regards to Bryce Miller?
Well, just listening to you talk, I'd be concerned right now. But obviously, they're not too concerned because he's not missing his start. But when guys are complaining of soreness and the velo's going down, sometimes that's got to do with some major problems. I'm not saying he has any major issues, and obviously, if there's something major, they wouldn't be throwing him. He'd be missing a start. But it just might be the time of the year, his age. He's just learning how to do this every day. He had a big year last year, right? Threw a lot of innings last year in the rotation, but super talented arm, really, really key. He doesn't get the probably love that the rest of that staff gets, but trust me, he is fantastic. I saw him at Everett, and I remember going back and reading my report, and lots of times when you're scouting, your reports are wrong, but my report on him was pretty right, except he got there a year earlier. The report I wrote on him, I was like, he's kind of turning to what I thought he might be, but he did it last year instead of this year. So outstanding arm, really fun to watch. I love watching him pitch, and man, for his sake, I hope there's nothing wrong.
Yeah, I want to throw out a non-Mariners question to you, but it's a baseball question, and I think our audience would be interested to hear what your reaction from a scout's take would be. The whole Atlanta Braves situation with Jared Kelenic not running a ball out, he ends up getting thrown out at second base. Snedeker, the manager, how he reacted to that, not benching him. Talking to him afterwards, and then the Ronald Acuna situation where Ronald Acuna said, "Hey, when I did that, you benched me, you pulled me from the game, and you publicly embarrassed me." How do you handle that? And when you see that from a scout's take, what's your reaction to that?
Well, Kelenic, I'm not surprised by that, Buck. Being completely honest with you, I scouted Kelenic a lot, saw him in AAA more than the big leagues. He was a really hard guy to scout because he wouldn't run, he wouldn't throw. That kind of stuff doesn't surprise me. Sometimes the way he plays is like it's a guy that's hit 300 for 10 years and he's got 500 home runs. And if you really break it down, Kelik's a 210 career batting average in the big leagues, right? So he's been a high pick that has had very few great moments in the game. And it could be because they moved him up too early or all those types of things, but that's hard. I mean, it's 162 games, and the big leaguers are men, and they got to let them play. But it's hard when guys aren't playing as hard as they need to. And then, from a Acuna standpoint, I got to believe it feels like that's a double standard, and that really breaks up a locker room. So that's a tough situation for the manager to be in.
So Kelenic, and I agree with you. He plays the game as if he thinks he's one of the top players in the game.
Yeah, and then obviously they the Mariners tried to, offer him a contract before before he'd earned it. He said no, and that whole debacle with the Mariners of like not bringing guys up, that just gave that. I made me feel like it gave him some fuel that he really didn't need to have. And like I said, eventually, we hear it all the time. Stats are for losers, but eventually you are what your stats are, right? And has he ever done it? He's never done it consistently. So, and maybe he will, but like I said, not my favorite guy to scout because, like I said, I like guys that play hard. I like guys that, I'm not saying he doesn't take the game serious, but the times I scouted him in AAA, he sure didn't give up, and he wanted to be there.
Great stuff, Scout. The real scoop on the M's and baseball from our anonymous baseball scout who currently works for a Major League Baseball team. Has been doing it for the past 30 years. Currently on his way down to the Willamette Valley to go scout Oregon and Oregon State. Enjoy yourself down there. Don't get caught up in the beef duck action too much. And we'll talk to you next week, Scout. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks, Doug.
There he is, another edition of the Scout that we do it every single Friday. I know it's all football today, but God, I wanted to get it in. I love talking to the Scout, getting his thoughts on Ben Williamson, Tyler Locklear, Leo Rivas, and the Bryce Miller situation, which, again, I just think that's worth monitoring here, and especially on Sunday, because every start has been the same, that he doesn't look right. He's walking guys all over the place. His velocity continues to go down, and then afterwards he's saying the same thing where his arm doesn't feel right. So I'm real worried about Bryce Miller, and I'm just wondering at what point does the organization get a little worried, or maybe they're not. I mean, clearly they're not because he's going to start again, but at some point, if you continue to see him struggling, and listen, he's added on more innings than he's ever pitched before, and this is probably a byproduct of all that work that he's been doing, and this is probably just something that pitchers have got to go through. They've got to learn to pitch through this type of arm fatigue or arm soreness, and not necessarily injured, just pushing through that. And so he's at a a different point there in his career. All right, let's wrap it up with the Daily Puck Drop here on a Friday edition with Hey, What the Puck, which is brought to you by Restoration One of North Seattle. It's your restoration company. Lets you avoid the stress of water, fire, and mold damage with their property restoration services. Locally owned and operated. Make them your first call when these damages affect your residential or commercial property. 206-817-8917. Visit them online, restoration1.com, the North Seattle franchise. One of the biggest storylines yesterday from the NFL draft clearly was the sliding of Shedeur Sanders. Probably no more polarizing figure in the NFL draft yesterday than Shedeur Sanders himself. A lot of time was spent talking about Sanders leading up to the draft, on multiple different platforms. I mean, his name carries, weight, and it was a storyline. And, keep in mind, whether it's ESPN or the NFL Network, it is entertainment. That's what it's supposed to be. And, we chatted yesterday with Garofalo about that. And, Garofalo said, hey, I don't wish any ill will, but, from an entertainment standpoint, do you want him to slide? Yeah, because it keeps people engaged in the storyline. I don't know how ESPN handled it, by the way. And because I recorded both. For some reason, the ESPN one didn't record for me. So I only watched the NFL Network version of it. And the NFL Network, to me, did a good job of covering it. Joel Klatt had his thoughts. Now, Joel Klatt is biased, and you have to take that into account. He's a Colorado alum, so he is clearly biased. I have read and seen on social media just how bad Mel Kiper was about breaking down Shedeur Sanders. I've said it many times. The play on the field, I've always liked Shedeur Sanders. I just think he's a pretty good quarterback, and probably in the right system that he will be good. You can't, though, discount the off-the-field stuff and just I don't want to say baggage, but what comes along with Sanders. Comes along his dad, and his dad is daddy ball coach. That's what he is. You hear that kind of phrase all the time in baseball, but he's daddy ball coach. He's coached him his entire life, Pee-wee football all the way up to college. And so you're getting that. Listen, I know people that have lost scholarships at schools because of their parents. And that's kind of what he is. And if you're an organization, if the player's not great, why do you want to take that on? And so I think that's why organizations are just shying away, in part shying away because of that, but also because that in their mind, he's not that great of a prospect. I think he has led a pretty privileged life, and I think that it's eye-opening to him of how others evaluate Shedeur Sanders. I think the things that he does, how he acts doesn't help him. This is stupid, and I know it coming out of my mouth, it's going to be dumb. He doesn't get drafted in the first round. It's clearly just not a good night for him. And, he said, listen, we didn't expect this, but you know what, we'll get better tomorrow. And then there's video of him, hosting a rap party and like performing. And I don't know. I just think that you didn't get drafted. You should be pretty bummed about it. And not that he has to go back home and sulk, but like, I don't know. It just, the whole party thing that he had last night, just, setting up his own like draft war room. I understand why people are put off by him, but I just don't think the slide should surprise anyone. And maybe Cleveland ends up getting him or, early in that, second round. You start looking at what they got ahead of him, and you got the Browns at 33 and 36. Could the Raiders do something with him at 37? He has been compared to Geno Smith. Do the Raiders stay at 37? We got Ashton Genty already. We could get our quarterback of the future. He can work. I mean, that to me, it feels like the Raiders would be the pick there because of the relationship with Tom Brady and all that. Because he can sit there and learn under Geno Smith, and a guy that he's been comped to anyways has been Geno Smith. So he's going to go. And just because he didn't make it out of the first round doesn't mean he's going to be some type of, failure or anything. Like, got to be selected in the second round. It's great. But maybe he needed to be humbled a little bit. And everybody, I don't care who you are, can be a little bit humbled. I don't know him personally. I don't think none of us do. What I watched on the field, I think there were times where he made, I think, a lot of great plays. Yes. Does he, the criticism of holding on to the ball too long and things like that? Well, yeah, but you can nitpick anybody. Accurate. I've always been told by people that have played in the league and covered the league, the accuracy is the number one key. He's plenty accurate. He doesn't have the arm strength, but he's accurate as hell. So we'll see. At the end of the day, he could very well have the last laugh in all of this. All right, that's Hey What the Puck, brought to you by Restoration One of North Seattle. It's your restoration company that lets you avoid the stress of water, fire, mold damage with their property restoration services. Give them a call. They are local. They are owned and operated locally here in Seattle. Make them your first call when those damages affect your commercial or residential property. They do both, by the way. 206-817-8917. Let the experts take care of you. Visit them online, restoration1.com, the North Seattle franchise. All right, big thanks to everybody watching and listening today. Thank you to all of our sponsors, Limback Lumber as always, A Clean Streak, Georgetown Brewery. Check out their new tavern beer at your local bar, and of course up at georgetownbeer.com. And as always, Restoration One. Today's Daily Puck Drop you can find later on YouTube. Please subscribe to the channel when you're there. Like it. Leave comments. Also find the Daily Puck Drop and everything we do at Puck Sports on your favorite podcast platforms and, of course, at pucksports.com. When you're there at pucksports.com, sign up. Become a member of the Pucks Posse. $5 a month is all it costs you. You get a discount if you sign up for a year. You get our free content as well as our exclusive bonus shows as well. Our baseball coverage with our MLB insider, Ryan Divish. Our NFL draft coverage leading up to the draft with Dane Brugler. Also, in addition to that, brand new podcast, The Sports Pit, with our KJR friends, our alums, Steve Sandmeyer and Matt Stretch Johnson. New episodes drop every single Monday just for Pucks Posse members. And now Puck Sports producing the world-renowned Graz with Gas Take 5 podcast that comes out also on Mondays. Search Graz with Gas Take 5 on YouTube and your favorite podcast platforms to find that. And you can find their episodes up at pucksports.com. We made it through another week. We've survived. It's beautiful outside. Get outside, grab a cocktail, enjoy your Friday, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we will talk to you on Monday. As always, we promise to be better.
No shoes, no ties.
Would anybody like to smoke some pot?
Yeah.
I was born to love you. I was born to lick your face. I was born to rub you. But you were born to rub me first.
What do you need my address for?
We'd like to send out a mailer.
Mother of mercy, I don't speak Japanese!